Another 40-year-old founder collapses in the gym. Another marathon runner has a heart attack. He is a Alum who spent 20 years in corporate trenches before realizing the hustle was basically a biological suicide mission.
Started actually with my son's illness. He had a medically incurable condition. Targeted changes in his diet and lifestyle. Within few months, we were able to cure something which was medically incurable or which was not getting result with any other modality.
Why are people with normal cholesterol level still dropping dead at the heart attack at the age of like 40?
20% of the cases which happens in the sudden cardiac arrest or sudden heart attack, they had certain heart defect in their organ by birth.
What is the basic difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest?
So you can say one is the plumbing issue, supply of blood gets stopped, and the other is electrical issue.
What are the basic things we need to cover as a regular test?
Tests like ECG, echo, 2D echo, CIMT. These are few of the tests you can get done. These tests gives understanding of heart from the functioning viewpoint. Biomarkers give the blood level work.
So, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast and letting us understand what are the causes or what are the things we need as a normal person we need to control so that we can have a. We have all seen the news. Another 40-year-old founder collapses in the gym. Another marathon runner has a heart attack. We usually say, but they look so fit. My guess today is that's exactly where the problem is. We are looking into wrong metrics. He is a Wharton alum who spent 20 years in corporate trenches before realizing the hustle was basically a biological suicide mission. He is now the founder of Pivot Health and the architect of her SPAN program. Welcome to the podcast, Ankur. Before we get into the depth of the podcast, could you please let us know about yourself? Who were you 10 years back when you were in corporate life and what started to feel off before you had the language for it?
I've been in corporate sector for now before I started in the health journey. I was in corporate sector for close to 20 years, and I had a personal incident. It started actually with my son's illness. He had a incurable or medically incurable condition, a skin condition, and we were not getting any solution. We have even approached different modalities like homeopathy and naturopathy and Ayurveda, but it was not getting solved. So that's the time when I started researching, and I was lucky enough to get guidance from a health and a lifestyle coach. And with targeted changes in his diet and lifestyle, within few months we were able to cure something which was medically incurable or which was not getting result with any other modality. So that was the pivotal point, and that led me one after another. I then went in deep to understand what is nutrition, what is lifestyle medicine, how exercise works, what is happen, what role they have when it comes to our health, and also healing us. So that is where my journey started.
Okay, great. Okay, while doing the research, I came to know that you said that standard lipid profile is like looking at a car pain point to check if the engine is about to explode, right? Why are people with normal cholesterol level still dropping dead at the heart attack at the age of like 40? And that even happened in second. But you say that this is something that take years to build, maybe 10 years or more. So what are the silent signals our bodies are sending us as of right now, and we are just writing off it as in like we are too busy to even notice that.
Sure. So, Sapna, the thing is that one, heart disease is not a disease which happens just like that. It builds over a period of time. So it can be 10, 15, 20, 30 years. That is varies, but it's a progressive disease. That's first thing. And other thing which people don't understand or people have very less awareness, that there is no one metric. For example, when you say talk about your weight or is being overweight or obese, you have one number to say, okay, according to my height, this should be the weight, and if I am more than that, I am overweight, else I am obese. Similarly, for say blood sugar, you will say my HbA1c is more than X, then I have diabetes. But when it comes to heart health, that's not the case, because uh, it is a multifactorial disease. even your obesity, your blood sugar, your blood pressure. uh, it's a series of things which actually make it's a multifactorial disease. So this is why uh, one metric, you can't say कि मेरा cholesterol is high or normal, then I am okay. Maybe your blood pressure was a problem, maybe you had a high blood sugar. So that is one reason. Second, not all, but say around 20% of the cases which happens in the sudden cardiac arrest or sudden heart attack, they are 20% of the cases, they are what we call as congenial heart disease. Means they had certain heart defect in their organ by birth. So those events will not count as a technically something which was lifestyle driven or something which just happened. So this is why one cholesterol number can be one of the factors for sure, but not the entire health journey or entire heart health. So it has to be seen from all the perspective, and that's what we also try to do when we are trying and analyze the a client's health. That we see all these factors, and also their genetic history, their age, all of them have a role to play when it comes to heart disease.
Okay. Okay, I want to ask very basic question. As of now, I think most of the people get confused with it. What is the basic difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest?
The thing is that heart is a muscle and it's an organ. It is a muscle end of the day, so it is continuously pumping even before when we are born, right? The third, the fourth month of conception, the heartbeat comes, and that's from that point. So even before brain or human body gets formed, heart is the first thing which gets formed in the major organs. Now, heart is a muscle. It is continuously pumping blood 24/7 till we die. So that's obviously working. Now that when heart is supplying blood, heart also supplies blood to itself. So because it also needs that continuous supply of energy. Now, in that supply, if there is blockage, which happens, in if in that supply, if the blockage happens, a clot forms or a plaque get formed, then the blood supply to heart is you know stalled, and that's when the heart starts to get affected, and that's what we call as a heart attack. In a cardiac arrest, something different happens. In cardiac arrest, you can say the heart stops beating properly. So the electrical functioning of the heart starts to stop suddenly, and that's what we call as a cardiac arrest. In case of a heart attack, as a progressive manner, a cardiac arrest may happen, but usually this is the difference. So you can say one is the plumbing issue, the supply of blood gets stopped, and the other is electrical issue. That means the heart stopped pumping. So this is the difference. Usually, most of the sudden deaths are due to cardiac arrest,
Okay.
because when a heart attack happens, you have more, what should I say, margin to survive or to till you reach in a hospital. In cardiac arrest, that margin is little less. So that's also very important to differentiate that these are two different events, but heart is the organ which gets affected.
For sure, because as of now, no, people around me or whatever news comes that is around the heart attack, that is around that that certain people died because of a heart attack. But when we even see we when we see in the news the cardiac arrest, we say okay, that is the heart issue or maybe something like that. That because of that, I wanted to understand the basic difference that you should be aware of these things. Okay,
Yes.
let's get to our next question. That is, there are a lot of viral news as of now, right? That particular person died in gym because of a heart attack, because of a cardiac arrest. And as a health coach, could you please tell us the truth, like when does that, is it because of a lot of exercise, or when does that exercise become a trigger for a cardiac event for us? And I just want to understand that what are the signs our body give to ourselves, that okay, you have to stop now, or this is something you need to get, you need to get a doctor.
Sure, sure. So Sapna, you consider a heart event, whether it's a cardiac arrest or a heart attack, like an accident on a road. Okay, so accident can happen with anyone and everyone, so that is there. So when an accident happen on a road, we don't blame the road, that, or the car, just that it is there. Same way, we can't say that because 75% in 75% cases, or maybe 80% cases, the heart attacks or heart events are happening not when they're not exercising. They're just sitting, lying on the bed, traveling, when those events happen. So it doesn't mean travel is bad or travel is the cause. It's just that where it happens, we tend to associate that event with that environment, which is an incorrect thing. We don't think still the majority of heart attacks are not happening in gyms. That is one thing we need to understand. Second is that any activity, even if when you're walking, maybe a mental stress or a sudden shock or sudden, any extreme event which happens, even when you're doing exercise, it is like you're giving some form of controlled stress to body. Okay, sometimes it may be an accident, or sometimes it is there. When you are exercising, you are doing some activity, you're pushing yourself, right? Pushing, I mean, in a good way, in a controlled way. So but when it comes to an event like heart attack, or a cardiac arrest, then the exercise could be a trigger for that, but not the cause. There is more risk of not doing activity, more risk of not exercising, that builds up your risk factors for heart disease, than exercise being a cause for it. So this is one very important distinction we need to remember, that exercise could be a trigger, or the event coincidentally happen in that environment. So that is one thing. But as I mentioned earlier, the heart disease is a progressive disease, which develops over a period of time. It those 10, 15, 20, 30 years when that condition existed. It's just that at that particular moment when you were exercising, that event happened, but that was not the cause of it. So how, then you ask that, how do we know? If you have not slept a day before, if you're not recovered, you're under high stress, your diet is not proper, you may be consuming alcohol, or you're a smoker, and then you're already put your body in a lot of stress, and then you are going and doing the exercise, then it may be adding that trigger for that particular moment, but you were already prepared your body for that event to happen. It just, as I earlier gave an example of driving a car. If you say, I'll not check my car properly, or my tires may not be inflated properly, I am not wearing a seat belt, so all these things you're already improved, or had a high risk probability for the event. So that is why I would say that exercise, a right amount of exercise, that is a different thing, should be there. But that definitely is not the cause. If exercise is done in a right manner, it is protective rather than a causative factor for a heart event.
Okay, okay. Then I have to have this, like, ask this question. We connect those events, like whenever someone dies in the gym, or maybe because of exercise or something. No, we connect it to the type of diet they are having. Mainly we connect that, okay, maybe he was having a lot of protein sources or some other things, and that's why that made pressure on his or her heart, and that's why he died. So is this a myth, or this is something to do with the our body as well?
See, as I mentioned earlier, it is a multifactorial disease. Okay, and if I have to say the main pathways which causes heart disease, when it comes to lifestyle driven, I'm not talking about genetics here, is your food, your sleep, activity, and stress. These are the four driving factors which results in development of heart disease. Okay, so food is definitely one of the factors. If you are and in food means the type of food you're having, whether your food has right nutrition, means right amount of food you're having, right macronutrients, carbohydrate, protein, fat balance is there or not, and then right micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals you are having or not. And then food timing, are you having meal at a regular schedule, too late, all those things are not there. So this is the first principles for the food. And obviously then there are other three factors which also may contribute, or amplify the impact of poor diet. So food is one of the driving factor, but definitely not, protein is not the driving factor. It's the right balance needs to be there.
Right. I think protein is the hype as of now. So there are myths about being it's like the positive benefit of it, and then there are myths about like how it will harm you. So that's all about it. So okay, I have like there is a one more question that I think is very important, and that is that we most people don't know about a calcium score or a APOB test. We just think as if bad cholesterol, good cholesterol. Is there any medical system hiding these deeper markers from us until after we had a stroke, or is it like just our laziness that we are not into it?
See, one, I would acknowledge that uh, when it comes to heart health, it is the most well researched. Whether we talk about diagnostic, whether we talk about surgery or medicine, is the most researched and most advancement if we have made in any medical field in any major disease. It's cardiovascular health. So I think there's nothing like the medical system is hiding anything. It's just that we are not taking benefit of it. Now the first thing is the screening, because heart disease, most of the heart disease is asymptomatic. You may have high blood cholesterol, you may have high hypertension, but you will not know through symptoms. इफ कल को अगर आपका पेट खराब होता है तो आपको पता चलता है, कल को आपको पीठ में दर्द हो रहा है, यू नो इट. बट अगर मैं कहूंगा कि योर कोलेस्ट्रॉल इज हाई और योर ब्लड शुगर लेवल इज हाई, you will not know it unless until it is at extreme ends, right? So that is why when it comes to heart health, very very important part of the preventive strategy is proper screening. So in that screening, there is two level of screening, if I will put it. The first is the basic screening, in which all these biomarkers which needs to get covered, and especially there are some of the advanced biomarkers like APOB, which tells what is the particle load, means which are the particles which are more responsible for plaque formation. Then similarly fasting insulin to know that okay whether you are developing insulin resistance. So these are some of the LP little a, which is a genetic marker of plaque formation and clot formation, which is there. So these are like some of the markers which are now accessible and available. Is one, there are two things. We never get tested under doctor supervision. We will go to a diagnostic center, we'll buy a package. Obviously, we'll choose the cheapest one with the maximum test. But if you will ask a proper cardiologist and doctor that I want to screen my health for heart health, he will definitely say some of these tests which I've mentioned. But we take our decision on our own. So it's not a responsibility of a medical system, it exists. Now let's take first screening is done. Then the second or advanced screening includes tests like calcium score, angiography, CT angiography. These are the tests which is the decision to be taken by doctor, because these all these are invasive tests. What I mean by invasive test is कि जैसे कि अगर angiography होगा, so they have to insert an like a pipe, and then they see the blood flow. So it's an invasive test. Similarly, in the CT angiography, there is radiation which is involved. There is dye which is given. So that means these are doctor prescribed. Doctor takes a decision which you need that or not. Then there is third category of tests which can be part of screening, which includes tests like ECG, echo, 2D echo, CIMT. These are few of the tests which you can get done, and these tests gives a understanding of heart from the functioning viewpoint. Biomarkers give the blood level work, and the other tests give the functional way. And then when it comes to advanced diagnostic, it has to be doctor led, because they take a decision based on the biomarkers and the symptoms. So they are equipped to take the right decision, which will be the right test, because every test also involves a cost. So from the screening viewpoint, the basic screening and blood biomarker is excellent. If you want to go a little advanced screening, and you can get some echo and some of the other tests done. And any test beyond that is a call which doctor needs to take based on the first two level of testing. So I think it's our responsibility to utilize what is available and accessible, and gives us a best possible chance to act, because if the disease is caught early or the patterns is caught early, you can still act rather than waiting for a event to happen.
Right. Okay, I think yeah, of course the medical system is more capable, but the problem is no, that we are living in a culture where if we get our blood test no and we get that everything is good, then we think okay, it's a waste of money. So that's how we think as of now.
I think there is an important mindset. We don't want to hear a bad news. We feel कि ये चीज मुझे तो नहीं होगी. It can happen to this person, X person, but not to me. But we don't understand that when there is available and accessible advancement which is there, we are not taking benefit from it. Because अगर वो चीज है भी तो ऐसा तो है नहीं कि मैंने टेस्ट नहीं कराया, if I don't get it tested, it will, it will stop, happening. But if we're able to identify early and act early, it gives you best possible chance. So I think that is how it's a mindset shift which needs to happen. And that is where I think it is we need to work on.
For sure. I think I can relate on that point that we don't want to hear the bad news, because I also lost one of very close family member because of this only, that we couldn't even believe. Of course, we had then all process like after we get to know okay, okay, that is something is like she is suffering from that particular disease and we have to get it diagnosed. Then we went to the best medical like facilities we had, but it was too late. So yeah, I can relate to that for sure. But the problem is no, as of now, even if people are aware about their like very aware about their body and they want to do, they most they do is go for a regular checkup, like a once in a year they will do the body checkup, full body checkup or something like that. So what do you suggest that if you are doing, of course we are not going to get to the every doctor that okay, I what test should I do, as of now I am doing a regular checkup or something. So what do you think that should be the base of that taste, and if something goes up, of course we will connect to the doctor or particular doctor. So what are the basic things we need to cover as a regular test?
See, in the annual checkups, which sometimes in the companies or people get themselves done. So when it comes to cardiac health, in addition to the regular tests, which I know HbA1c, lipids, everyone gets it done. Now there are few three four tests which definitely you should add to that panel. The first is APOB, which tells the particle load, the plaque load which is there. Second is fasting insulin, which gives a direction whether you are developing insulin resistance. Then the test of LP little a, which is a genetic biomarker of plaque formation, which is there. And the fourth test would be HSCRP, which is called high sensitive CRP, which means if there is any inflammation present in body in terms of heart muscle. So these are like four tests. Definitely, I would recommend everyone as part of their regular screening to be added. Then, in addition, you can get one eco done, because then eco may not be necessary every year, but especially if you are plus 40, or even if you are less than 40 years old, at least once you should get your eco done, because eco helps to rule out if there is any heart defect by birth, so that will get ruled out, or if there is any structural defect which will not come in a blood biomarker. So these are the a regular test. And good part is any of the tests which I have told you, they are not very expensive. It may cost you 1 or 2 thousand more than the regular panel, but not something earth shattering that which people can't afford, who are working or who have their own whatever businesses and business owners. So normal people can get those tested. It doesn't require doctor's prescription also. Anything over and above that, it should be under guidance of a doctor preferably.
For sure. Okay. Let's discuss a imaginary situation here. There is a we all know that we are living in an era where everything is an emergency. Everything is an emergency. So let's say that if someone get 4 hours of sleep and then use their double shot of espresso to be in the board meeting. Okay, or like in that moment what is the immediate physical stress our body or like our heart valves are, or we can say the nervous system feels in that exact moment?
Sure. So Sapna, the thing is that one, our body is amazingly designed. It is ready. It is designed for certain stressful event, whether it may be sleeping off 1 or 2 days, traveling, or sometimes mental stress is there, work stress is there. Body, we live in a city, an environment where there is high pollution, so body has certain resilience which is inbuilt. So now any stress which you are giving to body, if it is controlled stress, like as I told you, exercise is a controlled stress which actually builds body's capacity. That is one category. Now the second is something like which you shared, that 4 hours of sleep, then trying to operate through coffee. If you do it once or twice in a month, nothing will happen. Body will adapt. Body is designed to go through this stress. We have to operate practically in some situation. But if you're doing so, that means in one-off event, uh, even if something happens, it is not something which needs, which body will adapt. It'll be a very minor effect. But stress becomes a problem, or any like, or lack of sleep becomes a problem, or poor diet becomes a problem when it is happening day after day or very at a high frequency. It's a like a compounding effect which then starts to affect our organs. Our plaque formation get more done, our blood pressure rises, heart over a period of time has to pump more and becomes weaker. So one off event, fine, at a certain frequency, body is able to manage this. But if it is happening very frequently, then over a period of time, you start to see some of these effects
Okay.
on our overall health, and especially heart health.
Right. Okay. So we talk about stress management, right? And you talk about stress management versus stress resilience. Okay. And most people mix those up. Like we also mix those up. So how do you explain the difference in a way that actually changes behavior?
Yeah. So, one, as you rightly said, that we mix it up. Stress is a natural phenomena. There will never be a person who stress is interpretation of a situation. See, stress can be different forms. One is your mental stress, other is emotional stress, third is environmental stress, and then physical stress. So that is one clear definition needs to be there. We usually think of stress usually a mental stress, but we forget there are other three stresses also, which operate in all our lives. So body, as I said, is designed to handle them. But when we push our body too much, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, or environmental stress, that's when body systems start to break down. Now, what I mean by resilience means that you build body's capacity to be able to take these stresses in much better manner. For example, let's take you exercise. Okay. Now, if you will say, okay, I'm on day one, I've never exercised, and today I want to do, a 5 kilometer run, you will not be able to do. Okay, then or if you try and do, you will collapse or something will happen. So that means you're putting excessive stress, your body is not ready. But you start progressively training yourself. You train one day, say running 500 meters. For few days you do that, then 1 kilometer. And over a period of say 1 month, you are able to then run. So that means every day you are giving controlled stress, your body is adapting. Then you give a little bit more stress, and the levels of its resilience keeps on increasing. So resilience is a structure and a training which you give in a manner that body is able to take stress, which is not able to do on day one when you wanted to do 5 kilometer run, but you prepared yourself in a structured manner, and then body was able to take that 5 kilometer run stress. So that is what I mean by building stress resilience versus saying that stress is responsible for everything. Yes.
Okay. Nowadays, most conversations are around cholesterol, sugar, weight gain.
Yes.
Why do
Yes.
you put so much emphasis on the nervous system? What when it comes to heart health? Like how?
Sure. So, nervous system, we need to first understand a very simple thing, that what is nervous system? We have, autonomous nervous system means something which happens automatically. Right now, I'm speaking, my hand is moving. It's a continuous communication of my nervous system, which is then making me move, say things like that. So in nervous system, when we call it autonomic nervous system, there are two parts: parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. To simply say, one is a active, another is the rest mechanism. We need both. If I have to do any activity, I have to activate both, but I need to also, pull it down to a normal baseline level. That's where the parasympathetic nervous system works. So continuously, this balance is working. Body always try to do that unless until we push in. Now, if we push this, system, let's take I'm doing workout, or which we earlier said that you're not sleeping, then it means that you are over activating your sympathetic nervous system. You are not giving body time or nervous system to relax, and that is when the overall the load on, because heart is also pumping, it is activating, relaxing, activating, relaxing. If you are in a continuous sympathetic nervous system mode, then you are doing more activity and less rest. अगर मैं आपको कहूंगा कि आप रोज जो है 6 किलोमीटर भागो और 4 घंटे सो, one day it will body will take it, but if it is not having rest, it will not recover. It will not be in a position to be able to do that activity sustainably. So that is where the sympathetic, the nervous system role is there, and that's where we bring in practices like breath work, meditation, restorative yoga, sleep. All these are time in nature. All these are things which balances the nervous system and dysregulate. And as I earlier said, it is where the resilience is built in body, not through activity. It is a combination of activity with right recovery that builds the resilience.
Okay. Okay. I think one more hype is there, that is cold plunges is there, CGMs is there, HRV tracking and everything. But if you had a chance to call out one popular biohack that's more hype than help, or even it's more harmful than help, so what would it be?
It If I have to choose one amongst these, I would say that there is, when it comes to biohack, people are thinking in terms of we can take some magical pill. It could be any XYZ herb, or do detox, that will cure us of everything, or take magical supplements. So that is the, if I have to say one thing, is on that front. Because some of the things which you said, plunges, CGM, these are enablers. These are not, I would say, not under biohacking directly, but we are going for that one hack or one solution. And usually our first thought process is, can I take this supplement, X supplement, which can really transform my health, and just I'll pop up a pill, and because that's the most convenient thing to do. For others, you will need to make an effort. So that is where I would say, if I have to remove one, most hype, that would be the one of the most important one, which I will remove.
For sure. Okay. Uh, Let me ask some personal questions of your professional life. Like, you have worked with high performers, right? Who actually turn things around, all those health issues around. What's the one thing they all end up doing? Something that people should know, but they are like literally avoiding.
Okay, so if I have to put amongst all the different factors, one of the most important thing which makes impact on almost all the dimensions of our health is sleep. And that is something which everyone is avoiding, especially in today's age, where there is a lot of digital devices we have, our smartphones, our wearables, television, everything is there. And because what happens is, when you are not having adequate quantity of sleep and quality of sleep, and you don't need to sleep 10 hours in a day, a good 7.5 hours is a good number to achieve on day after day basis. It's not a something which is unachievable, but it's also the quality of sleep. Because when you have right sleep, then you are cognitively, means brain manner, you are able to better manage, take decisions, manage the stress better. Second is, you if you sleep less, then as you earlier said, people will have more coffee, they will have more high calorie foods, because that body starts to crave for it, because it needs to that energy which you have got through rest. Now it you have to trying to cover that gap. So that is what drives wrong eating behavior. Third is that when you are not slept well, you will have less energy and you will be even less motivated to do exercise. So can you see? And there are certain things like liver, the growth factor, lot of repair work, our brain, consolidation. All those things happen only during the sleep. So sleep is, if I have to put one biohack, earlier asked biohack, this is the most effective biohack because if you correct this, then all other will start to fall into place easily. But you can't outdo through diet or through exercise or through any modality sleep. This is the natural phenomena, which I would say the most important biohack scientifically and practically. If you work on that, other things will automatically get taken care of.
For sure. Okay, I think in nutshell, we can say that our body has the capability to fight everything. You just have to make sure that you are giving breathe to each and every part of your body, and that is happening. That happened mostly because of the sleep, right? Okay, that leads to me the last of this podcast, last question of this podcast, and I just want to ask, like, if someone is watching this podcast as of now and they are in their late you can say 30s or 40s and very successful, very busy and very worried about their health, but they feel fine, but they are worried that okay, with time I have to take care of this thing, we have to take care of that thing. So what what do you suggest that people should understand the concept of that if you are in your 30s or if you are in your 40s, you should take care of these things for sure. And then there are a lot of things that can you know uh, on top of, if you can add a lot of more things. So what are the basic thing that needs to be covered?
See, the most important thing I would say is to screen and test yourself at a certain frequency, 6 months, 1 year, and the right type of targeted test, which I discussed earlier. Because those tests can't, they're objective, they're not attached to you, they're not biased, they will show what is the reality. So this is one thing which you should do. Second is act. If there is something which comes in or you are feeling something, then do act. That action can be one, from the medical viewpoint. Maybe you need to see a doctor, maybe you need to take a medicine, that is one thing. But the second, would be acting in terms of your, what I call in a simple manner, ahar, vihar, vichar. Your diet, your activity, and your mindset. These are the three things which you should continuously keep working. This is the foundation of all our life, which means, so that's why acting and or sorry testing and screening yourself properly, and then acting, these are the only two mantras, if I have to say so. If you do it at a, in a right manner, then you are giving yourself the best possible chance to have the best possible health.
Sure. Okay, I think we covered everything in this podcast, like most of the things about, especially about the heart, we need to think about, we need to be aware of, and that is something that needs to be in the hype. Because as of now people are more worried about obesity and you know sugar and everything, but this is something you need to take care of, because heart is the base of your body and you need to know more about it. You need to understand how it work, what are the basic thing that needs to be covered. So thank you so much for joining me on this podcast and letting us understand what are the causes or what are the thing we need as a normal person we need to control so that we can have a healthy lifestyle. So thank you so much for taking time out for this podcast, and I had an in like wonderful time talking to you. I hope to get you on another episode as well. For as of now, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Sapna. It was, thanks a lot for inviting me, and I hope whatever I shared today will be useful for your audience. Thank you.